Hello, everyone. So, I know that there's a lot of people who are confused about the Shadowlands, and I am too. I'm going to show you a little graph in a second that I made, and I'm going to be going over all of the flaws and the questions that I have about the Shadowlands. Now, this isn't meant to be, wow, Blizzard, you so dumb, why can't you do this right? But also genuine questions to you guys. If you guys have an answer, please let me know. But I wanted to talk to you about the Shadowlands and how it doesn't make very much sense. And I didn't even take into account the alternate realities. I touch on it a little bit, but they asked the question about what happens to our alternate reality self, and they talked about a rope, which is honestly just them. We wrote ourselves into a corner, and we don't we don't know. They said that you're a strand on a rope, but a rope is made up of different strands, and I'm like, okay, but still that doesn't answer anybody's question. Could you theoretically go to the Shadowlands and see yourself a bunch of times? The answer should be yes. Then I think honestly they should have just said no. Every reality has its own Shadowlands, but Twisting Nether can kind of transcend time and reality. I'll talk about that later. But anyway, so I'm going to show you guys the chart that I made. So here it is. So this is a little chart that I made. I know, not very creative, but I wanted to talk a little bit about this because this is something that I'm confused about. So we know that the first ones predate everything. We know that they created the six realities of void, life, death, etc., etc. Like I should have had the six of them written down, but they created the void. So they're responsible for the Void Lords, right? They're responsible for the creation of Zoval and Zereth Mortis. They're responsible for the creation of the Titans and the Naru. Well, we don't. I guess I should say I don't know if the Naru was created by the Titans, but it doesn't seem. It seems like perhaps they were. So if they were, my apologies. This belongs down there. But anyway, so the Titans made constructs. I put the Ethereals and the Void Ethereals over here because I think they're just aliens that like serve different forces, which is probably the correct answer. But they're probably created. They probably belong somewhere in here. Anyway, so they created the Titans. The Titans created the constructs. The Titans also created dragons. I should have said the dragons probably belong up here. But they gave the dragons their gift. However, their constructs fell to the old gods' influence, which gave the curse of flesh races like humans, dwarves, goblins, pygmies, etc., etc. Eventually, the Vrykul came before. So, the first ones created the Shadowlands to house souls. And I know that not all the souls came from the Titans. There were souls that exist, like trolls over here. I guess I could add in trolls if I wanted to. Trolls, for example. Other races that, were before. So they created the Shadowlands to house these souls. That the enema of how they lived their lives would fuel the Shadowlands. And that they would go on to live in the Shadowlands, their afterlife, depending on, whatever suits them best. Why then would the Void Lords create life like the old gods? Or are the old gods being used by the Void Lords? Because we don't know. They even said we don't know what happens to old gods when they die. I'm assuming because they're so connected to the Void, like demons are, to Fel, that they would return to the Void as well. Illyria said that once N'Zoth died, that his voice wasn't silenced, just more joined. So I'm thinking that he's with his brothers, and they're probably going to come back. Or there'll probably be, some other outlier somewhere. Anyway. And we also know that there's different, like there's the Firelands that like go over here, right? Like we don't know much about the Firelands. We just know when those beings die, they don't go to the Shadowlands. They stay where they are. So then why... So the first ones can't exist in all planes of existence, only in ours. But the Void can transcend all other planes of existence. And the old gods and we can influence those planes of existence. Unless every plane of existence has its own Shadowlands. But again, like the same quest, there's a guy from the Firelands that says he wants to go back home, but he can't go to the Shadowlands. He has to stay where he is. So then why would the first ones create the Shadowlands at all? Would the souls just wander lost forever? And if so, okay, that's good that the Shadowlands were created. But Zoval said it was flawed, that it doesn't matter. There were sometimes outside influences, that it didn't matter what you did. Sometimes you were screwed no matter what. So he wanted to remake all of reality to serve him, like Sargeras saw the Void Lords and got scared that they would take out all life in the universe, even though they created life, and the old gods would turn their constructs to life, which would then fuel the Shadowlands, which would then please the first ones? But anyway, another question is, why didn't we just kill Zoval and use the Forge of the Origination Beam to destroy the Void? Like, why didn't we just do what he was going to do, but just get rid of the Void? If we got rid of the Void in this, that would literally solve 99.9% of our future problems. I know we still have the infinite, and don't get me started about time. Again, the first one's created the Titans. One of the Titans, I apologize, I would just butcher his name if I don't see it. He has command over time, but again, the Nether transcends time and reality. So where's everything going? I'm getting a headache. I'm just getting a headache trying to. I wish that it was consistent, but it's not, and it took me 5 minutes to poke holes in all of this. If the first one doesn't put every reality in, if the first one's put every reality into its own Shadowlands, okay, that I can kind of see. But the first one's put our entire universe in our plane of existence into one Shadowlands, right? But we don't see any aliens there. Like, we don't see any other alien races in coping with what the Burning Legion did to them. How many planets did the Burning Legion destroy, right? It was countless, they said. So even before Argus died, corrupted the Arbiter, made her stop. I think it was Argus that died that did this, because he was, again, a Titan construct that died and corrupted the Shadowlands. So even when Titans die, they go to the Shadowlands. So I'm assuming when Naru's died, we know that there was a Naru in the Shadowlands. So I guess Zoval should be kind of up here, and that the Titans should be a little bit lower on this totem pole. But let's just continue with this train of thought. He corrupted the Shadowlands, so that means all of the Burning Legion's worlds that they conquered all would have fueled the Shadowlands. They would have had a massive increase in souls, because I'm assuming 99% of those planets would have fought back, at least for a while, before they decided to submit. So they would have had immense amount of anima stored. They would not have had this drought, because they would have had plentiful, to deal with. And, well, I guess more souls would mean more anima. But still, like, we know that souls can literally be destroyed in the Shadowlands. We've seen, Sire Dynathrius do it. We watched Garrosh be turned to nothing. We know that even Arthas became anima. So our souls can become anima, which fuels. Imagine being a paladin serving your king and country. You die, and boom, Helicar's right butt cheek. There you go. Anima was just supposed to be our experiences, but Arthas was literally turned into anima. So there's a little bit of contradiction in that. Like, I agree with Zoval, the Shadowlands doesn't make any sense. But damn, dude, like, he was Sargeras, but beyond reality. Sargeras was in our reality, again trying to stop the Void Lords from destroying all life in the cosmos, even though, again, their old god minions would create life. And you could say, well, they create life to destroy the Titan, but they were there for thousands of years before the Titans showed up. And they had an entire Black Empire, and they never killed Azerothian. Or Azeroth. I don't know what her name is. I thought it was Azerothian, but it's probably not. But they never killed Azeroth. So what was the purpose of them? They were sent there to... You could say that she's apparently the most powerful, so she could hold them back, but she couldn't hold them back forever. And that's the thing, is about not knowing how long, because it said that the old god's reign was tens of thousands of years, or maybe even 100,000 years. They could have weakened her out by then. They could have found a way. You're telling me that all of these old gods couldn't have found a way? You're saying, oh, they were too busy killing each other, but they still, one would have, especially N'Zoth, like, he was the weakest, but he was apparently the most intelligent, which again reinforces the whole, he wanted to die so that way they could go back to the void and come back stronger. Because someone who has tens of thousands of years of planning does not get taken out in 6 months. It just does not happen. But yeah, I guess we're going to have to wait and see. I know, like, there's a lot to address. There's a lot to talk about. And this was supposed to be about the return of the Calaxi, but this just didn't make any sense to me. There's so much that they have to explain that they didn't. But anyway, let me know what you think. What parts did you agree with me on? What parts did you disagree with? Let me know in the comments below. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Take care, have a good day, and goodbye.